It is January 14, 2026. It's 5 p.m. and I will call this meeting to order. Randy, if you would get us started, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the meeting of the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich opens at 5 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried.
We've already had a technical glitch. We're down one microphone here, so bear with us. I would remind council of any declaration of pecuniary interest. Seeing none. Sorry. Councilor Pemberton will now give our land acknowledgement. Sorry for that.
We will begin by acknowledging that the land on which we gather is the traditional territory of First Nations people who have long-standing relationships to the land, water, and region of southwestern Ontario. We also acknowledge that the Lower Thames River watershed communities, which include Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, Munsee Delaware Nation, and Delaware Nation of Moraviantown. We value the significant historical and contemporary contributions of the local and regional First Nations and all of the original peoples of Turtle Island, North America. We are thankful for the opportunity to live, learn, and share with mutual respect and appreciation.
Okay, thank you. Now I will remind council of any pecuniary interest. Seeing none. The meeting minutes from the previous meeting were included in your agenda package. Are there any errors or omissions? Seeing none, they will be adopted as presented to council. Randy, are there any items not listed on the agenda?
There are none.
Okay, thank you. Item 6 on our agenda, we have a delegation, and it is concerning the blood clinic. Bob Purcell and Hugh McGinnis. Sorry? Bonnie. Oh, okay. And Bonnie, please come up. We only have one microphone for you, so you'll have to share.
Okay, I suspect that's live now because the red light came on to warn me. We wanted to start off with an acknowledgement of we're representing the people that signed the petition. Many of the things we're going to talk about are certainly not our own personal opinions, and that we've tried to gather all the opinions and all the comments we possibly could from folks. Some of them were quite emotional, and that we're going to try to stick strictly to the facts and ask in the longer term or immediately after this meeting, whenever you can, we'd like to get some sort of response from you telling us a decision on what we're asking for. Bottom line is we're asking that the blood collection facilities in Dutton be reinstated because it's hugely important to this municipality. We thank you for the time that you're allowing us to have here at the council meeting. We do acknowledge that you have some very tough decisions, and just like people in real life, everybody's in a crunch right now, so it's a rather difficult time to go through. We realize you did make a decision, and we also recognize that there are no right or wrong decisions. You just try to do the very best you can when you're sitting around this table. However, in this particular case, we believe the consequences of that decision far outweigh any financial savings you think you might be able to establish. Really, when you think about the blood clinic collection, that's probably saving lives. It's definitely been proven as by far the best indicator of diseases, early detection, and when it goes forward. It's a service that we recognize probably should be presented by the health departments or more importantly at the provincial government level. But we also know that every night for the last probably 3 years you've seen on television news the big problems with healthcare all across the country. I'm proud of the fact that this municipality was way ahead of that curve and created the medical center and got into partnership with doctors, and we actually have some of the things that you see people like Walkerton last year lining up for blocks in the cold freezing. We solve those kind of problems. This health collection center was part of that solution. It's not new. It's been around for 15 to 18 years with one individual. The total impact fully loaded, we estimate, is probably less than 2% on the overall budget. We certainly get more than 2% of value out of it. The healthcare, when we're doing things like the medical center, the doctors, et cetera, we're trying to look after the folks that are in this community. A lot of this has around communication. We realized that things were in a bit of a turmoil around here. The CAO hadn't arrived, a few things like that. And so we, as a community, didn't really become fully aware of what was happening till late in the game. Otherwise, we could have been here maybe a week after you made the decision, and we would have had more time to work on solutions before implementation occurred. But having said that, we talk about some of the communication we hear around it. It's, you know, you're having it tough like we're having it tough. Any taxpayer that goes and puts gas in their vehicle or buys groceries now, no, they have to watch every penny, and it's a big deal. However, in the case here, this investment is really well worth it and means more to this community than that 2% tax increase. If you look at the community and you think about it really as we would as citizens, as an individual, as a business person, or as a farm, when you look at the amount of debt we have, it's very manageable. It's not nice. You'd love not to have it, but it's definitely manageable. And how do you manage debt if you got a home? If you got a mortgage and you got to make the payments on it, well, you work hard and you get a raise, or you work hard and you get a second job. If you have a business, you grow that business, you get more income. Same thing happens with a farm. If you got problems with that, you got to go out and you got to figure out somehow how to get more return per acre. So what do you do if you're a municipality and you want to grow the tax base? You make this the most attractive place for people to come and invest and spend money and be involved. And all of that isn't just the municipality. When you look at it, we've got things here that other municipalities, even in the West End, would love to have. We've got the public school that has been renovated and updated. We've got the OPP detachment here. We've got the ambulance base here. We've got the nursing home here. We've got apartments for seniors. All of that's attracting a better tax base, which is how you deal with the debt. When you look at the debt, the one that we look at the most is what I call the line of credit, because it's not really big enough to even be a mortgage. You're looking at it, and I can take you back, and the only reason I'm bringing up this old report is to show that it is being managed so that people don't think we're totally broke or totally out of control. If you go back to the November 22nd report that was given to council, which was the last report or state of the nation, and I think every council should do this annually because it's enlightening for the members of council and the public. But if you go back then, we were looking at $4.8 million on this line of credit. Well, over the 4 years, we pulled that down to 3.98. That's bringing it down slowly, not messing up the world, don't thinking you're going to pay it off. Since then, you guys seem to be trying to keep paying that down, and you brought it from the 3.98 down to 3.91 by last November. So that's another 70 grand off that line of credit. Not a huge amount. When we did the financial report for this budget, you showed people the truth about how much we owe. But there was comments in there along the lines that if we pay all this extra money and that, we'll get it paid off in 5, 10, 15 years. Well, that's fine if it was a perfect world, and it's even acknowledged in the budget, provided nothing else happens. Well, nothing else is happening. If you look at your budget, you're buying 3 more trucks, you got to do this, you got to do that. There's all kinds of things that come in. So that's why you need to think of that as a line of credit, not get overexcited about it, and manage as you have. Keep taking it down every year. Don't let it grow anymore, that's for sure. But this 2% is really worth investing in. When we talk about, well, it should be the Ministry of Health doing this. Yeah, probably should be, but we found out that doesn't work real well anywhere. And there's not anybody in here can say that the Ministry of Health would be rushing right in here to do blood collection for municipalities the size of Dutton Dunwich. It just doesn't happen. We're unique enough that we're far enough away from places like St. Thomas or 4 counties and that. It costs our individual citizens more in gas just to go get their blood tested than the tax increase that shows up on their bill. So they understand the value for money. They understand why they want to have this service, and they're willing to spend that money on that service. You got to forget about the silos. And why do you have to do that? Because I'm a taxpayer. These are taxpayers. There's only one of us. They take our money at your municipal level, they take it at the county level, they take it at the school level, they take it at the provincial level, they take it at the federal level. But it's only our money. So we really don't care who gets responsibility for doing whatever. We just expect to have the service, and we expect you to spend that money as prudently as you can. I have more confidence in you folks here spending the money prudently on this blood collection. Okay? The negative impact on the investment, it just kills people wanting to come here, and that when you start to hear that you're taking away a service. Think about this service if you were a homeowner. It's one of the most important things you have in your house at any given time. If you're running a business, it's like taking your best product off the shelf and still expecting the customers to come in every day. Or if it's a farm, it's like trying to only farm half the land because you only have half the cost that way. That doesn't make it successful, and it won't allow it to be successful. So you've got to get away from any kind of that negative impact around that. We see there are 3 obvious choices that you could do. One would be to bring Kim back, and we're using her name because that's one of the things we heard from many of the people. This is not just a number. This is just not something you do to save money. This is an individual who gave 15 to 18 years, something like that, to this municipality, was doing a fantastic job, and probably doing it more cost-effective than any ministry could or any other level of government could. Kim is one of the options you could bring back. If she's not willing to do that, the other most sensible option would be to replace her with somebody else like that. And then the final option would be to get somehow one of the approved service providers that the government already funds, like the Life Labs or one of those people, to come in and do it. The problem with all of that is it keeps escalating. They're all going to cost us taxpayers more than it was having it here as a service that's here. Okay? Yep. Okay, so I'm now going to turn things over. Your timing's almost perfect. I'm going to turn things over to Hugh to present you with the petition, and he may make a couple comments, and then Bonnie may make a couple comments.
Well, everybody knows who I am. I'm Hugh McGinnis, and I'm here to.
Phone over, Bob, for you.
Here. Whatever. Everybody knows I'm Hugh McGinnis, and this is the petition that people have signed. And during when we set this up, I had a number of discussion with a couple counselors and a person or two in management here. And there's one thing that kind of bothered me a little bit. And this is that I was told more than once that the people of this municipality is a certain percentage. It's not a high percentage, but it's a certain percentage. And that was kind of the reasoning why we weren't looking at funding it anymore. Well, the small percentage of people that use that bludge lab, the majority are seniors. People that have problems driving to other place, or you got to get somebody to drive you, you got to bug the kids to take care or whatever. So what I would like to say to staff and council is you were elected and you were hired to look after everybody in this municipality, not just larger groups, but all groups. And that's basically all I have to say. And I thank you for the time too.
Bonnie, did you want to add anything or?
I'll just say one thing. Council has managed to come up with a solution that works for Service Canada. I can't imagine you can't do some magic with this and rework it. I understand staff in the health center and in the Life Lab is municipal staff. Figure something out.
Okay, thank you. I'm just going to wrap up for you now. I just want to point out the importance of this petition. You'll find that there are 1,152 verifiable hard signatures on that. We've got phone numbers, signatures, names, everything. They're all verifiable. There was probably another 300 online ones. We haven't bundled into that. So you're looking at 1,500. Okay. We don't want you to ignore that petition. That's over 25% of the people that live in this municipality. It's far more than voted for mayor last time. That's a lot of folks that are concerned and upset and support this. We've proven to you that it's possible. Yeah, you got some debt problems and that, but you can manage around that and you can handle this 2% to give back this very valuable asset to us. We look at it, it's your job to look after us. We understand it's a tough job. We acknowledge that at the beginning, but we're looking for solutions, not problems. Don't tell us what you can't do and what's a big problem. Because when we hear the word can't, it means only one of two things, that you won't do it or you don't know how to do it. We're asking you today to figure out how, and we thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. And we will respond. Okay. Yeah. Well, I thought everybody was here for the drainage petition, but apparently not. No, we'll just take a minute. Are you on the job here, Larry, tonight? Okay. We'll carry on. Let's deal with the drainage department. And we have a petition for drainage works for the Zach McCollum drain. Everybody's had a chance to look at that. Any concerns or questions? It's pretty straightforward. This has taken a long time to get here. And I've had a lot of concern from landowners on this, so it's been slow. So I'm glad to see this thing. If no questions, resolution, please. Randy.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Droulard, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives and decides to proceed with the Section 4 petition for drainage works under the Drainage Act submitted by Phil Smith, and that the petitioners be notified of Council's decision to proceed, and that an engineer will be appointed under the appropriate section of the Drainage Act after the 30-day time period of Council's decision to proceed was sent to the LTVCA and OMAFRA and has passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. We also have to appoint a member and alternate to the Court of Revision for Government Drain Number 1 in West Elgin. And it looks like the meeting's January 22 at 4 p.m. So I just look for a volunteer. Deputy Mayor Loveland, and it says and alternate. Okay. And Councillor Dreyfus.
Moved by Drouillard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich appoint Deputy Mayor Loveland to sit on the West Elgin Court of Revision for the Government Drain North Number 1 to be held Thursday, January 22nd, 2026 at 4 p.m. and that Councillor Dreyfus will be the alternate in the instance that Deputy Mayor Loveland is unable to attend. All in favor? That's carried.
Okay, thank you. Item C is the Bennett Drain Block Assessment. This has happened before, so it's any questions or concerns from council? Just makes things easier in accounting. Resolution, please, Randy.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the Drainage Superintendent titled Bennett Drain Block Assessment of the Village of Dutton, dated January 14th, 2026 for information, and that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich instructs the engineer for the Bennett Drain to provide block assessments for properties in the Village of Dutton under Section 25(1) of the Drainage Act, RSO 1990, CD 17. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you, Randy. Okay, let's move on to item 8 is correspondence. And Paul Daniel is requesting permission for his cruise in again for next summer. Anyone wish to speak to that? I have one question that I don't know if anybody can answer. He's asking for our crosswalks to be changed or altered.
I
If
think I can.
somebody could clarify that for me, Councillor Dreyfus?
Yeah, yesterday I did meet with Paul and he indicated that he wanted to do something on Remembrance Day at our crosswalk. So for the month of November, like a lot of municipalities will paint remembrance symbols on the crosswalk. So he's I don't think he's formally requesting it here. He's asking if he can pursue it, and he'll go to the county first because it's a county road. So I think that's the intent here, so.
Okay, I guess it's, can we do that? That'd be my question for the county.
I believe we just have to give support just from working on that Cenotaph committee. We have to give him support to pursue it, and then he takes it to the county and to the Legion for their support, because you can't use any symbols of remembrance unless you have their specific permission. So I think it's a fabulous idea, and I wish we could make it permanent, especially the one across from the school that's right across from the Cenotaph. I wish we could make it permanent.
Okay, so the concerns I had, so. Randy, resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich supports the closure of Curry Road from Nancy Street to Shackleton Street for the Dutton Cruise-In on the following dates: May 27th, 2026, June 24th, 2026, July 29th, 2026, August 26th, 2026, and September 30th, 2026, and that a copy of this resolution be forwarded to Paul Daniels and Peter Duchek, Director of Engineering Services, County of Elgin. All in favor? That's carried.
Okay. And there's one more to. Sure.
Could we direct staff to send a letter of support to Paul on request about his request for Remembrance Day? So.
Okay, got that. Then one more resolution that.
Moved by Pemberton, seconded by Drouillard, that relevant correspondence was reviewed. All in favor? That's carried.
Okay. On to the consent. We have 3, the Rural Ontario Municipalities Association Court Rules Drainage Act applies to national railways. Watson Associates Stormwater Legislative Changes in the town of Coburg. Council resolution elbows up for climate action. Does council wish to speak to any one of those?
I'm sure,
Willard?
I'm sorry about that, through you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sure we can't answer it at the table, but I'm wondering how that stormwater legislative changes will affect us as a municipality. I read through it, think I have a vague understanding of it, but I'm wondering how that will impact our municipality.
One thing I think this council, and maybe we're getting late in the term, and Southold has enacted that, a stormwater charge in villages. I don't know whether Councilor Pember, you would wish to speak to that, but it's something to consider. I mean, it's a huge issue that, and the costs are astronomical. So I don't know what else I can add to that. Tony, any comments on that one?
Through you, your worship, you're seeing a lot more municipalities go in that direction. It's proper and prudent planning for those funds to be used for infrastructure improvements. So this is something that we are seeing across various municipalities, and that's something that obviously Dutton Dunwich has an opportunity to look at and whether they want to implement here as well.
Okay, thank you.
Do we want to pursue that? I guess.
Yeah, that was my, actually, that was gonna be my follow-up question. Is this something that we want to report brought back to us and maybe have a look at? So we have clear information and see if this is perhaps the prudent way to go.
Councilor Pember?
Yeah, I guess my only comment, I don't mind taking a look at it. I guess I would say we might want to delay that until we have our manager of infrastructure and development on board, because I know this takes quite a bit of staff time and research between the drainage superintendent and a manager of that sort. Not that I think it's a bad idea. I do think it's something we could look at and should look at. But I would think we might want to wait till we have staff support to be able to manage the extra workload on that.
Okay. And I think it wouldn't hurt to maybe reach out to our neighbors in Southold, and they've just gone through that process. And how they found it, difficult, easy, and we could reach out to Watson as well. It's another charge that. Okay. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just curious, and I read through the document as well, and is there a way that you can leverage that to control how people are disposing of their stormwater? We have a stormwater issue in our municipality. It's obvious. Again, last month, we had more rain, and all of a sudden we see that elevated percentage go up at the wastewater treatment. So like, what crossed my mind was that illegal connections have an impact on our system. It's affected everything in our municipality. So I don't know if this is a tool we could use to help get a handle on this, where there's a charge. If you can prove you're not connected, there's no charge. I don't know if that's an option that we would have. I'm curious, so.
Okay, Councilor Drulard.
And just to follow up on that, I know that other municipalities are experiencing the same issues that we have, even the City of London, and they have now brought in, is it new home sales for houses built before 1984 or something like it's quite specific, because I'm sure that's where they're seeing where their issues lie. So it may be something we need to look at that other municipalities are doing too, and we might be able to combine it.
Okay, let's bring it back. Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, just in response, I don't believe this is the tool for that.
No.
It would be more of a bylaw tool to use that, which other municipalities have. And I do believe we've asked for that to be looked into in the past. So I would support that to be looked into again to see about bylaws prohibiting connections and how we eliminate illegal connections. It's a very difficult bylaw to enforce, but we have asked for it to be looked into in the past. So, but I don't think this is the tool to accomplish that. This would be the tool to accomplish that when you're rebuilding a road and you come across an illegal connection at that point in time. We could use this tool at that point in time, but I don't think it's the tool for what we're looking for there.
Okay. We will bring it back for further discussion and speak with our neighbors and maybe Watson and just see how involved this is. Okay, I would just like to speak to the Drainage Act and the railways. Of course, they have appealed that, so it's not a done deal. And how long it'll take, we don't know. But it is a win, which is good. Okay, anything further on those three items? The committee reports. We have the Elgin Area Primary Water Supply System, Bo Horvat Community Center, and the Lower Thames Valley Conservation Authority. Anyone wish to speak or question any one of those? Councillor?
Just very quickly, all three of those are my committees. I don't think there's anything too much of an issue anywhere on those. The Lower Thames are still opposing some of those changes with the Conservation Authorities Act province is considering. They've kind of followed with all the other conservation authorities. Community Center, the Arena Board, as we call it, is pretty straightforward, and so is the Elgin Area Water System. Anyone has any questions, I can address them.
Just one question on the Bo Horvat Arena. Is there anything coming as what we're gonna do with the money? From Craft Hockeyville?
Yeah, we've been working away a little bit on that. Last year, we did the dehumidifier, so just part of that project. Came in well under budget. That was funded through reserves we had established. This year, we're planning on redoing the boards. They're old, and that was also part of the project. We've also brought the engineer back in to take another look at that first preliminary look was sort of just a really rough look, and we still have that Craft Hockeyville money sitting in reserve collecting interest, but we have to decide if that's what we want to go with that what they really planned provisionally. They're looking at maybe a cheaper alternative, so that's in the process. So yes, we are slowly working on picking out some of those items that we can afford,
But you haven't used the Hockeyville money yet?
no, it's still sitting in reserve.
Okay. I do get questions about that, and I have a neighbor at the London Knights game
Mhm.
and former West Lawn resident that keeps asking me, what'd you do with that money? So
It's one of the funny things with that Craft Hockeyville money, there is no time limit on it. So they could, we have to spend it for what it was intended for, which is really improvements, but there's really not too many rules, but they have put that away in a reserve until we get a little further along.
Okay.
Further on those three. Now we'll move to the staff monthly.
I'm gonna just comment on the wastewater because that's the one I bet you everybody opens first. Our yearly average was 81.5, which is past where the ministry says you need to do something. And that's after the driest summer and fall that I can remember, so that's good, but it's still not great. Anything further on those staff reports? I see nothing. Go ahead, Brenda.
Moved by Drulard, seconded by Dreyfus, that the items on the consent agenda be approved. All in favor? That's carried.
Okay. I'm going to ask Fire Chief MacArthur to come up and deliver his report.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. Appreciate the opportunity just to speak to the annual report in tonight's council package. So thought it was a good opportunity to look back at 2025, now that we're already into 2026, and just look at a few of the accomplishments and time invested by the firefighters last year. So I'll just kind of walk through it on a high level and happy to answer any questions as we go. So last year, as you can see by the incident comparison chart there, was a record year for incidents for the fire department. I'll jump a little bit ahead to the first attachment, the totals by type. So it provides a breakdown there. I know some of those codes may not, most of them I guess are self-explanatory, but those are the OFM codes. Nothing in particular. I mean, there was a few more fires percentage-wise than maybe normal. The bulk of the incidents, as can be expected, would be MVCs or vehicle collisions, along with medical calls. So we do, and that's the medical calls has risen the call incident totals in the past few years. However, we do have a very good balance on the medical calls that we go to. So it's definitely selected by the tier response agreement that the basis of being that the firefighters can provide a benefit by either arriving before EMS or assisting EMS on scene. I will also note, now you won't see any loss in there. We did have significant, and some of it's still pending is why it's not included in the report here through the OFM investigation. Of course, CoTrack was a significant fire loss for us. So you don't see a total in there, but it is important to note that there was $724,000 estimated of property saved throughout the year, both for for structure and vehicle fires. Incidents outside of Dutton Dunwich. So that is primarily mutual aid, but there is also a small factor that there's a few incidents in there that Highway 401 would be a good example. Sometimes a call drops in just across the border one way or the other, or some of our boundary roads. So there's a couple that fall into there that are technically outside the municipality. Response averages. So this is impressive. Over several years of listening to the county radio and the pager, Dutton has always consistently been very quick out the door with the first apparatus, and that comes from just logistics sometimes and the benefits of having firefighters in town close to the hall available to respond. But that I just put a brief description beside each of those. So 3 minutes and 41 seconds. That's from the first apparatus. So I mean, there is times a second or third or fourth one may be, a few minutes or even several minutes behind, but to get that first truck out the door in under 4 minutes is quite impressive. So I would, and it depends again a lot where the fire station is and where the firefighters live. But more typically across the county, you'd probably see a 5 to 6 to 7 to 8 minute time. Again, that does vary, but yeah, and it was nice and quick to get that first truck out the door. Again, response time dispatch to on scene. So again, varies with throughout the year where the calls might be in the municipality, far south end, far north end, of course, depending on how many are in the village itself. But a very respectable, great time there for from dispatch to on scene in well under 10 minutes. So some of council may recall they don't use that benchmark anymore, but they used to refer to 10 firefighters on scene within 10 minutes. That used to be kind of a benchmark we use, but regardless, a great response time there as well. And then average number of personnel on scene, I thought that was interesting data. So it kind of, I know you can't have 0.43 of a firefighter on scene, but that's how the average comes out. So it just shows that a lot of our incidents are one or two truck apparatus calls. So, I mean, we have obviously 4 apparatus in our fleet, so there's a lot in our fleet. There's lots of times we need those, but like a lot of fire departments, several or a high percentage of the calls can be handled with 1 or 2 apparatus. So that just shows that, and it's responsible too, just from the payroll side of it, that we don't, I mean, we're still paying everyone that responds at the hall, but we don't have all those resources tied up on scene if they don't have to be. So that photo there is just included kind of a couple of photos throughout, a little bit of a behind the scenes, I guess, in a way. You might not have seen a little bit of that. That's just, I think that's a Highway 401 call from, they're all from this year, these photos. So that would have been, I think it was earlier this year, I guess last winter. Training. So our training, just with certification coming, which, as I mentioned there, July 1st, 2026 comes into effect. That's been a huge thing across the province for every fire department. So Dutton, like the county, Dutton has been working hard to meet those certification goals, and we do. There's a few loose ends, few gaps that we have to tidy up, but generally speaking, we're in a great position to meet those certification goals. So I have included that chart. Which may change as we go forward, but it was really meant as a guide to, as you'll see, the gray, the top portion is provincial certification, so that comes right from the province. Every firefighter in the province is required to meet that certification. Now we, the county and Dutton Dunwich, have been on that track for several years now with the fire school and with sending our recruits for training. So that we've been working on that for several years, I think it's fair to say. And then some department-specific training. We got all 3 departments together, I guess last summer it was, and we created this same guide for all of them. They don't all match exactly, but generally they're the same. The 3 are very similar, and we had the 3 departments had very similar goals in regards to training. So, and it's helpful also, we find, for newer members that are joining. Hey, what courses should I be signing up for? What courses, what are we not going to approve because it's not in our service level of service? It's meant to assist in that way as well. Training summary. Just a couple, I thought, highlights. So 48 subjects covered. So that, I mean, there's what, 52 weeks in a year, and there's obviously some topics that we go over more than once, but you can see there's a high variance of training topics throughout the year. Staff, which it's called staff hours when we run the report, but it's our firefighter hours. So close to 2,000 hours are invested by the fire department in the training. And these, as council's well aware, these are firefighters with on-call firefighters or volunteer firefighters with full-time jobs or part-time jobs and families and everything else on the go. So it just shows the commitment there. And it was interesting and important to include. Actually, there's a couple of our officers that are tonight helping instruct with the fire school. So fire school instructor hours. So last year, a lot of it through the recruit class, but not all of it, that they contributed 448 hours of time towards the fire school. And it is important to note that the county does, we pay our instructors, and then the county reimburses. So there's no cost to the taxpayer, to the budget on that. But it's an important investment that our members are making towards the program and training in general. So you'll see just a snapshot of some department training. I think that was just from a few weeks ago at the hall here. Looks like they're maybe working on some forced entry. Obviously, it's an evening pick of some training there. Courses taken outside of Dutton or with mutual aid partners. So there was a few that were in Dutton, but generally speaking, with at the OFC or with the fire school. Great thing about the fire school is a lot of them are very local. So we've hosted a few in Dutton, right across Elgin, and some are in Middlesex, of course. But generally speaking, the firefighters don't have to travel far for training, which has changed, of course, drastically in the last 10 years. And yeah, I won't list them all there, but there's several standards there and additional courses that we did, the firefighters completed throughout the year. you'll see a photo, kind of a neat photo. We had an opportunity to pair up with a bus company and there is some, I believe, some West Elgin and some South Old firefighters, primarily Dutton, but that was a joint training exercise that they did on some, obviously some auto X, but some stabilization specifically that night on an old school bus. And certifications received. So again, with mandatory certification that we've been working on for several years already, there's a list of so there's kind of two steps, and you can see a picture of 4 firefighters there with their certification. There's kind of 2 steps. You take of course the course. Not every course translates into certification, but most of them, if they have a standard, you get the certificate, which is valid, if SACA valid across North America, quite frankly, through the OFM in Ontario. So we had our potluck. I'm sure Mayor Hentz represented council, which was great. I'm sure you saw some pictures from our potluck in December. So we had some firefighters. We presented some IFSAC certifications that night, and we had some firefighters presented with their completing probation. Fire prevention and pub ed. So we made several events this year. I listed a few of them there. The safety day at the fairgrounds, Wallstown Fair, did a few fire station tours. And late this fall, we formed, and actually they had their second meeting last night. We have a public education team now, which is in place in quite a few municipalities, and Elgin now has been working very well. Just those that might have a little extra time or a little extra interest in pub ed with a 2-year term to focus in on pub ed activities. So we're pretty excited going forward to step up our pub ed presence, I guess, a little bit more in the municipality. You'll see a photo there from looks like it's obviously at the fairgrounds. I don't know if that's the fair or one of the other events. It looks like the fair, but there's a photo there. And then to wrap up here, several other activities that kind of behind the scenes stuff that I mean I know council's aware of a lot of it, but they may not be aware of some of it. We do some fire extinguisher training I know Beaubier Villa this year we did the county employees there for fire extinguisher training. And that's through the county. They have a burn tray, propane burn tray prop. We've done several smoke CO alarm checks, so that may come from an incident alarm sounding, or sometimes we'll get somebody reach out and just say, hey, can you come and check my smoke alarms? I will take the opportunity to just remind everybody that 10 years they expire. So make sure they're current, and CO alarms are required on all levels now. That's another change we're going to be promoting this year going forward. So. And then, there's a few other events listed there with a few pictures to go with them. So obviously a very active year, plenty on the go, and we're excited about 2026. So happy to answer any questions on that.
Thank you, Chief MacArthur, for that report. And I'm going to make the first comment, and I go back to the response averages. And that really is something. 3 minutes and 41 seconds. I wouldn't be a good firefighter. It takes me longer than that to put my boots on. So that is impressive. Any other comments, Councillor Pemberton?
I'll just, if I may, just respond to Mayor Hentz. Obviously I respond from home, not to all incidents, but I respond from home. I kind of joke that it's very difficult, even though I've got the advantage from home on the vehicle and the equipment. It's very hard to beat Dutton on the responding on the air. So that's a great thing.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor Hentz, to you, the fire chief. Yeah, Jeff, just a question. I guess I'm not sure if we do it or not. And I know we do it elsewhere. We had 25 motor vehicle collisions. Are we collecting for motor vehicle collisions that are not Dutton Dunwich residents, or are we doing that here, or not, or is it a thought to do it here?
Yeah, sure. Through the chair to council. Excellent question. Very timely, actually. So we prioritized that for 2026 to, we've got a little bit of background work to do to set up billing through ERIS. So it's a system that our fire service coordinator Anya has a bit of experience with before. So I don't have the number in front of me, but we've been very consistent the last few years in collecting so we can bill the MTO for collisions on Highway 401. And that's it generally they do get pushback at times. It's not a perfect science, but we do. The firefighters are very good about collecting the information that we need. So we've done well at capturing some revenue there. But we are focusing this year on, as the bylaw permits, invoicing non-residents for motor vehicle collisions and some of those consumables too that we track separately in the budget. Oil booms, absorbent, foam, a couple of those things, we can also recoup some of those costs. So yes, very timely because we just this week we were put that back on our radar to make sure we get that going for 26, working with James and Tony. So yeah, so that's our plan.
Perfect. Thanks, Jeff.
Anything further for the chief? Okay, thank you. Sorry.
Through you, your worship, I just wanted to say my congratulations and my respect to yourself and all the firefighters at the hall. And the more I'm getting chance to see some of the good work that they're doing, truly impresses me. And my first opportunity was before I started here. There was the fire that was across the street at the dealership, and I'm thinking to myself, you know, what a great team that came in. And because that could have been a lot worse. It could have been a lot worse for the entire downtown. And I'm thinking to myself, you know, great staff that are dedicated, and good to see the training that they're doing. And I'm a big supporter of the training. Obviously, you want to be in a situation where you're prepared, and if you have to provide that service, you're there. So again, my hats off to yourself and the entire department at Dutton Dunwich Fire Department.
Thank you, Tony. I really appreciate that. And I meant to mention earlier with the Kotrak fire, and I think I mentioned this at the potluck, but I was on vacation for those 2 weeks, and so I slept well. And somebody did call me during the night and woke me up. But anyways, it was on all seriousness, it's a significant event, and there was significant loss. But overall, to come back to almost all positive feedback, positive comments, teamwork, all that stuff, that was not to downplay the loss, but that was a positive thing to come back to. So yeah.
Okay. Thank you, chief.
Tell Mike he was South Pole Fire at all. He didn't get it. I looked and I'm like, Corey's going. I'm getting.
Okay, yeah,
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the Council of the Municipality of Dutton Dunwich receives the report of the fire chief titled 2025 Fire Department Annual Report dated January 14th, 2026 for information. All in favor? And that's carried.
so we can go on to any unfinished business. Being none. Sorry.
We had that petition in this morning about the blood clinic, and I just wondered if Tony had anything to report on his progress with the other firm that we're looking at, or is that something you'd rather do in close? It's been an open before. Yeah.
Through your worship, this is something that since I came here that I wanted to ensure that we are covering all the stones, uncovering everything that we can try to ensure that some of the comments made here today and the benefits of the blood clinic truly support. And so we have been working, and we're continuing to work with a local provider for that service, and that's something that we're working very closely with. They're collecting information as it relates to some of the demographics of Dunwich. They're looking at some of even the economic development expansion that they've seen in the last number of years, which is also benefiting them, seeing that there's growth coming into this community. So we're putting every effort. I am trying to ensure that we can work with this third-party provider to provide that service. And if this is something that we can bring in, it's going to be a really good news story to the residents of Dunwich.
Okay. Any new business? Seeing none. Any announcements? Nothing happening? Okay. Item 14 is our closed session, so we can go ahead with the resolution, please.
Moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich now moves into a session of the meeting that shall be closed to the public at 5:54 PM. In accordance with section 239(2) of the Municipal Act SO 2001 C25 for discussion of the following matters. A, labor relations or employee negotiations, S 239(2)D of the Municipal Act succession planning, and B, a trade secret or scientific, technical, commercial, financial, or labor relations information supplied in confidence to the municipality or local board, which, if disclosed, could reasonably be expected to prejudice significantly the competitive position or interfere significantly with the contractual or other negotiations of a person, group of persons, or organization, S 23(2)I of the Municipal Act, the governance and strategic considerations for a jointly owned asset. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay. Take a short break while she locks.
We don't have to do anything on that.
No, if you just want to adopt the previous meeting minutes, we're fine.
All right. We're okay with that? It's done.
Okay, moved by Loveland, seconded by Pemberton, that the council for the municipality of Dutton Dunwich hereby comes out of the closed session of the meeting at 6:30 PM and the regular meeting convenes. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, we'll just wrap it up.
Moved by Drewlard, seconded by Dreyfus, that bylaw 2026-01 being a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of the municipal council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich be read a first, second, and third time and passed. All in favor? And that's carried.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the date for future meetings, Wednesday, January 28th, we're going to tackle the budget. Okay, we all have all the information we need, and the plan is Wednesday, February 11th, we're going to revisit the holding bylaw. Okay, and the planners will attend virtually or in person. We'll try and deal with that one. Okay. Last one.
Moved by Dreyfus, seconded by Loveland, that the meeting of the council of the municipality of Dutton Dunwich closes at 6:32 PM. All in favor? And that's carried.